Here's a video on a guitar pedal I bought with my own money. No collaborations today, just some raw, uncut opinions. What's up everybody, I'm the Tatted Ball Guy, and I like to test out gear so you don't have to. Today we're looking at the Cowboy Distortion pedal by Sonicake. You can find it for $49 on Amazon. They claim that this distortion pedal sounds good on both the guitar and the bass, so we're going to have to check both. And just in case it wasn't obvious about the sound that this pedal was going for, they explicitly tell you. In the description they tell you this is a modified, groove metal style distortion pedal that pays tribute to the guitar hero, DD. You don't need to be a detective or a metal historian to know they're talking about the late great Dimebag Darrell from Pantera. So when I saw that there was a pedal claiming to get Dime's tone on a budget, I had to check it out. So before we jump in with a raw tone test, let's take a closer look at this pedal. These Sonicake pedals are crafted in China, and I have to say, it actually feels well made. Even though this pedal is tiny and portable, it's got some considerable weight to it. It's made out of a hard metal, so it can withstand the heaviest of metal tap dancers. The foot switch itself feels nice and sturdy, and those are all positive signs when you're dealing with a budget pedal, so we're off to a good start. And taking an even closer look, we see that this pedal has 5 knobs. It has a volume, a gain, and a 3-band EQ, a bass, a mid-frequency, and a treble. So now we're going to do something a little bit interesting. Normally I would hit you with the raw tone test, then we would come back and talk about it. But today I'm actually going to give you my opinions first, and then we'll hear how it sounds. So now let's jump in with the most obvious question. Can this pedal get you Dime's guitar tone? Well, the answer is kind of complicated, so let me break it down for you. So let me tell you something that most YouTubers won't tell you. Despite all the fancy gear, true tone is found in the fingers. Just ask the guitar legend Jerry Cantrell. So even if you had a time machine and went back to a Pantera stage in 1995 and took the guitar right off of Dime's neck, you still wouldn't sound exactly like him, and that's using his exact guitar and his gear. So the real question is, does this pedal give you a good scooped mid starting point to get you close to his tone? Yes, I think it does. But in my honest opinion, this Dime distortion pedal by MXR gets you a little closer. However, the price point on this pedal is significantly higher. So does that mean this pedal sucks? No, quite the opposite actually. Like I said, it gives you a decent starting point, but the rest is up to you. However, I was able to get some really cool distortion sounds on this that sounded nothing like Dime. So once I stopped chasing Dime's tone and tried to dial in just a badass metal tone, I was pretty impressed. So for this raw tone test, we'll be coming out of my Boss Katana 100 watt head going into my Randall KH 4x12. The Boss Katana is a solid state amp, just like the Randall's Dime was using back in the day. So the first thing you'll see is me trying to dial in a nice Dime distortion. After that, we'll compare it to the Dime Distortion MXR pedal. At the end, you'll see me dialing in a real heavy tone that sounds nothing like Dime, but it sounds awesome for other types of metal. When that's all said and done, we'll come back for another quick chat about the bass, followed by a bass raw tone test. Let's get into it. So as I said in the beginning of the video, this distortion pedal is listed for both the guitar and the bass. So that leaves us with just two questions. Does it sound good for bass, and does it sound anything like Rex Brown's tone? Well, the short answer is it sounds okay, and I can hear the similarities between what they're going for and Rex Brown's tone. It might come across a little bit better sounding through the microphone, but to my ears, in this live room, it was definitely a little bit too harsh. That being said, if you're chasing Rex Brown's tone on a budget, I recommend this Joyo double thruster instead. I'm not saying that this is Rex Brown's tone in a box, but this certainly gets you to a much closer starting point. So let's jump in with the raw tone test. If you're curious about that Joyo double thruster, I have a full in-depth video on my YouTube and on my TikTok. I highly recommend you check that out too. So now for the $1 million question. Like I do in all my videos, does this pedal get the tatted ball guy seal of approval? Well, I'm not sure, to be honest. If I was giving my approval based on this being Dime's tone in a pedal, probably not. However, if this was just listed as a budget metal distortion pedal that wasn't trying to emulate Dime, then I would give it the tatted ball guy seal of approval. The build quality feels solid, and the versatility between the tones make this a solid option. But the fact that it's called the Cowboy Distortion pedal that pays tribute to DD makes me hesitant to give it the approval. So if you're looking for a quality budget distortion pedal, yes. However, if you're looking for a budget Dime distortion pedal, not so much. So that's going to do it for this one. I really appreciate you stopping by. If you're new here and you like what you saw, hit that subscribe button. So once again, I'm the Tatted Ball Guy, and before I go, I like to remind you, it doesn't matter the genre, good music makes your head nod. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.